Something special. Something that gets us from A to B. Something that takes us faster, higher, further, and brings us closer together. It builds the highways we drive and the ones we surf. Saves us time and helps us pass it. It's about making sure, making waves, and making friends. Not exactly rocket science, but it can be. One small step. 2 high-speed particles. 3 dimensions. It's saving a life, or creating a new one. And finding our way, whether mapping the stars or mapping ourselves. It takes creativity, curiosity. It's about working together, fixing it if it's broken, or even if it's not. Impossible problems, lots of coffee, sleepless nights. Then, finally, that moment of clarity. And one day, a cure for cancer. Clean global water. Sustainable food. Free energy. It's getting us from where we are to where we want to be. It's called engineering. And it's amazing. The National Academy of Engineering is celebrating 50 years of fellowship, excellence, and innovation. We'd like you to join us.
Good morning!
Good morning!
All right. That's good. Well, we played that video to get you pumped up because you guys are going to change the world. We're going to take you to the journey called MEng in the next year. You're going to meet some of the most fantastic people, the ones sitting next to you. And you're going to have some of the most fantastic staff here at the Fung Institute helping you through that journey. My name is Jen Sang. I'm the Executive Director of the Fung Institute for Engineering Leadership. And I'm so proud to be the first person to welcome the class of 2018. You guys are actually our largest class to date. The people you are seeing in this room is just half of the class. We've got the other half of your class doing other stuff in another space. So you've got a lot of networking to do in this next year. Anyway, I want to welcome you. We're so excited to have you. You're going to see a bunch of presentations today. You're going to do a bunch of team building, and it's going to be a fantastic kickstart to your one-year MEng journey. But to begin, I want to introduce our keynote, and of course, the reason that the Fung Institute exists is Coleman Fung. Feeling frustrated by traditional silo trading and risk management technologies as a derivatives trader, Coleman launched OpenLink in 1992 to challenge market conventions with a robust and open technology platform. As the initial business architect, he laid this cross-market risk architecture, which is still unique today, for a robust environment that seamlessly supports front through back office requirements for financial and energy and commodity markets. After retiring from being CEO and chairman at OpenLink, Mr. Fung co-founded Goji, an interactive fitness company and the industry partner of several MEng Capstone projects. Coleman has been devoting significant amounts of his time and resources to a number of worthy educational and environmental causes, including creating the Coleman Fung Institute for Engineering Leadership. So welcome, Coleman.
Well, anyway, good morning. Welcome to Berkeley. It's amazing. As Lee said, this is only half the size. It's truly amazing. So I have an interesting topic to go over with you this morning to get you started. I was in Germany for documentary last month, and I came across this controversy about a book called Finis Germania. Probably not the right way to say it in German, but it means the end of Germany. German students here? Anyone? Okay, good. I'm not going to talk about the book. It will take a semester or two to really talk about the book, like everything else. It's always got good and bad elements inside. But the topic actually resonates with another one that I've been thinking about for years. That is the end of engineering. Now, you just saw this inspirational video. So what do I mean by the end of engineering? I'm thinking about the end of engineering as we know it today. So what exactly are we talking about? Like everything else, always good and bad, whenever something comes to an end, or you can think of it as a new beginning of another. So I'll come back to the good and bad part later. But for now, I'd like to walk you through two really important ways to think about that. The first part is you, individually, how you should prepare yourself. You are just in the beginning of your career. So you don't want to get stuck. And then we need to look at externally, what is this new reality is? How you should really take advantage of it is an opportunity. And how should you do that? So let's get started with the personal aspect. Well, up to now, we engineers are really good at doing what we love to do. So whether you're an electrical engineer, doing circuit design, hardware design, or a mechanical guy building gadgets, or the IE, like myself, the imaginary engineers, we build models. And so that's what we are comfortable doing. We live inside this technology bubble of our own. And universities, Berkeley included, are very good at fostering and really preserving this paradigm that we continue to build this bubble that we live inside. We feel very comfortable. But that is not going to be enough. That's why, 6 years ago, we pushed this MEng concept, really with what I call the first mission, by injecting entrepreneurism, communication skills, and a set of tools, business tools, plus what I would call as close to real life experiential learning opportunity into the program, so that our goal is to stretch your bubble, make it more malleable, so that it could form inside your brain other networks of thinking. Because the world is changing so fast, what it has worked before the last 50, 100 years is not going to work the same way going forward. I'll give you a very simple example. Even, really talented electrical engineer who's been doing circuit design forever, they find themselves in a more challenging career because there's so much stuff it's been improved, automated, so that the area of true innovation is getting smaller and smaller. And if you're taking this deep dive into just circuit design, you may find yourself 30 years from now, your career landscape is completely changed. So our goal with the MEng as a first step is to make sure you're not just going to be an electrical engineer. You're going to be engineer, period. We are hoping you're going to pick up the skill that is really going to make you a lifelong learners. You can change, you can adapt. So that's one. So let's go into the second part, that new reality. So what exactly is that new reality? So here's the issue. We've been so good at doing what we do that things are changing so fast, the traditional model doesn't really work the same way. Let me give you an example. In the old days, when you have an idea, you need to get funded. You need financial capital. And then you need human capital to make it happen. But the way it's changing, there's a new form of capital I call technology capital. So it used to be a component within the financial capital. You can just get people to build this, to create this new technology. But technology itself has already taken a new form that it's actually far more powerful than financial capital, far more concentrated. And the movement, the fluidity is very different. It could poof, disappear, or it will stay forever until something else come and kill the technology. You, as young people today, are building their capitals, not necessarily for yourself, but for the technology capital owner, entities like Google and Facebook. So it is completely changing the economics, principal business concept that we used to know. For example, even some of the pillar of society, even democracy may need to change. So this is the rapidly changing landscape that you guys need to be aware, and you need to take advantage for good and bad. So what is the best way? Let me give you just a really simple example. So I Googled this morning to look at how many number of registered cars in the US. There's 260-ish million cars. So at any one time, how many of them are actually being driven, even during rush hour? I bet you it's a very small portion of that. So forget about the noise generated by Uber and Google and whatnot. When the technology capital arrive to address this particular problem, I think the entire car business model, the global car business model, will and the infrastructure, everything that's around it, parking infrastructure, the energy, will probably be electrified by then. It will be gone. So, do you think it will be the like of GM, Volkswagen, Amazon, or Google is going to get that technology capital first? And how is that going to impact jobs? So we talk about technology capital, but would it make human capital available? What about its relationship to social capital? So it's a very complicated, I hate to kind of throw this complicated problem at you, but I am doing it because I need your help to start thinking about this, because whether you like it or not, you are becoming the new master of the universe. That's a term we used in the 80s to describe the financial Wall Street guys. They make a lot of mistakes, but with technology capital, you have even more power, more concentrated influence. So whatever you do, it could have much more impact than the old master of the universe. So I want you guys to become more intelligent in what you do. You start with your bubble, which that's okay. We all start from somewhere, but don't stay in your bubble. Stretch it, open it up, pop it, so that you can handle all the opportunities that come your way, but also understand the good and the bad and make the decision. It's not about judging what's good, what's bad, but understanding the impact of what you do and how everything is going to be interrelated to one another. Go Bears. Oh, actually, well, since there's no German student here, actually this is the, do you know what Documenta is? Okay, it's the biggest show for contemporary art hosted by a tiny city called Kassel with only about 200,000 people. So this is one of the exhibits called Pantheon of Banned Books. So every book there is banned somewhere. And when it's done, at the end of the show, people will come and actually get one of the books. So I thought I'd leave that to you as part of the inspiration. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, Coleman, for always inspiring us to think bigger. And welcome, future masters of the universe. My name is Beth Leven. I'll be speaking more later in this presentation, but now I'd like to introduce another leader of the program. Professor Fleming is the faculty director of the Fung Institute and teaches engineering leadership courses within the Master of Engineering curriculum. He's also a faculty member in our Industrial Engineering and Operations Research Department. Before coming to Cal to help found the MEng program, he was a professor at Harvard Business School for over 12 years. His research currently includes new developments in entrepreneurship, crowdfunding, and innovation and finance. So please help me welcome Professor Fleming.
Welcome. Let me add my welcome chorus to everyone else's. Welcome to Berkeley, welcome to California, and welcome to the first day of graduate school. It's a fantastically exciting time. You should all be phenomenally proud of being accepted at Cal, and we are equally thrilled that you've chosen to do your graduate work here. So all around fantastic. So an effective leader is very clear, and his or her goals. And if I can get this done. There we go. You can often encapsulate those goals into a short, concise mission statement. This is ours. We're going to take fantastic engineers in this year, and we're going to transform you into leaders. Leaders that not just build widgets, but as Coleman alluded to, think about the social and economic and ways to transform their entire society. This is an audacious statement. Honestly, however, you're joining an audacious and fantastic organization. I generally don't like to boast. I think it's quite in poor taste. However, since you are now all in the family, I'm going to boast a little bit about our organization, our staff, the alums, and our faculty. One of our alums last week was in the New York Times with technology he originally developed in the MEng program. Many of our alums are across the world, Silicon Valley, China, France, across the world, India, all these other countries having very successful careers. One of our alums took a job at McKinsey. That's great first job. She enjoyed it. Very quickly, however, went on to head the Airbus solar cell production facility. They build the solar cells for every European satellite that goes up. Now, mind you, this is less than 3 years after she graduated, and she was your age when she was here. Are you ready in 3 years to take on a job where you're going to sign something off that your organization has done a good design and a good production on a component which could take down a $100 million satellite? That's the kind of responsibility you're going to get, and that's what we intend to do. One last boasting. In our first 5 years of this program, 5 of our alums went on to be top 30 under 30 innovators in the Inc. and Forbes lists. I don't know, that's more than UC Berkeley. I don't know of any other school that has that many, let alone a master's degree that had just been founded. So it's an audacious goal. Trust us. You work hard, we're going to get you there. So how are we going to get you there? We're going to go into more detail here. And first of all, we're going to give you an exposure to a lot of concepts around leadership and management and business, ethics, analysis. That's the top leadership curriculum. Undergirding this is you're already great engineers, you're going to get even deeper. You're going to hack graduate work at one of the world's toughest engineering schools in your discipline. So that's greater specialization. Finally, and this is the secret sauce of the Master of Engineering program, I don't know of any other program in the world that does this at the scale we're doing this. You're going to have a Capstone project. This is going to tie these things together with an experiential project. It'll be challenging, it'll be unusual, and it is the secret sauce that pulls it all together. So more details here. So we'll take the E270 course. That's the stuff I teach and that I lead. That's engineering leadership. We'll take Capstone integration and Capstone project. All these things will be tied together. You'll do your communications studies and education with the actual Capstone project. You'll be applying your project management learning, your analysis skills gained in your leadership courses to your Capstone integration. All this will build upon the technical electives that you're taking in each of your departments. So what is this leadership, focusing on that top gear? In a lot of ways, well, the design model I had was you're going to be exposed to a lot of the topics of a first-year MBA. It's not the depth of an MBA, don't pretend it is, but you'll be exposed to it. You'll learn how an MBA thinks. You'll learn how to work with an MBA. Some of you may go on to get MBAs. Many of our graduates have. But this would look very similar, look very familiar to somebody in a first-year MBA program. You're going to take some organizational behavior. You do some marketing. You're going to do some technology and industry analysis. You do some accounting and finance, some teaming work. We're going to expose you to a bit of entrepreneurship, project management. The R&D technology management and ethics is a little unusual. It's not something you would get in a typical MBA. However, it's surely important to those of us in an engineering and technical environment, and that will be different. So this is what what we used to call the top of the T. This is your leadership curriculum. These are the things you'll be learning in the business classroom. Now, a bit of discussion about that business classroom. Tomorrow, most of you, for the first time in your lives, will be in a business case discussion environment. Many of you will be as challenged by this as you were for your entire undergraduate curriculum. Most of us got to be good engineers by superb technical skills, great math. We could slide into class 5 minutes late, copy down a couple equations. We could write the problem sets and get 100%. We could write the exams and pass with flying colors. This is a very, very different model of learning. It's a model of learning where we all work together, where we learn from each other. You're not going to learn as much from me as you're going to learn from your classmates by a long shot. Now, to make this model effective, we have to change how we work together. And that means getting to class on time. It means staying awake during the entire class and responding and debating and articulating and defending, working with your students to get to the best answer. How can you best prepare for this? Some of you will find this so frustrating. It's going to be ambiguous. It's going to be slow. It's going to feel inefficient. In other words, it's going to be a lot like leadership. It's intended to simulate your challenges as a leader. So how do you prepare for this? First of all, I've written about a two-pager on how to have a great case discussion. Please read that carefully and all those details. Something else to keep in mind, you're going to have 3 hours of class each day for the rest of boot camp. So for the next 8 days straight, you have 3 hours of class. Now, just as with your technical electives, we're assuming you're going to spend 3 hours outside of class for every hour you have in class. So if you do the math, you shouldn't be planning any parties until Tuesday of next week. That's 12 hours a day of work. And so we're expecting the entire case to be read carefully. I encourage you strongly to go form what we used to call at Harvard study groups. So before you get to class, work with 4 or 5 of your friends. They should probably be in different sections. So you're getting a cross current of ideas and cross-fertilization. Talk to them ahead of time and before you get to class. One thing you cannot do, and I'm going to talk about the honor code shortly, you cannot tell people in a later class what the answer was in the prior class. Please, please, please don't do that. It's disrespectful to your classmates in your section and also to your friends in the other sections. So please don't do that. A couple of other thoughts here. So the whole idea of these case discussions, the correct answer is good. But what's more important is the process. And what we're trying to simulate here is the challenges you will face as a leader in a small group. And we can't run simulations of 5 and 10 people across a cohort of 400. So we have classes of 50, and they are still intended to simulate the back and forth. When you get to a meeting and you're not prepared, and all of a sudden you're attacked by your arch rival, how are you going to respond to that in an effective and professional way? So it's absolutely crucial that you come prepared to these things and you stay engaged during the entire time period of the class. Now, we have these things called cold calls. I can almost guarantee that each of you will be cold called at some point in the next 2 weeks. Please don't freak out. These are intended to make you a more effective leader, to make you capable of responding on the spot. And again, to be prepared, just read the case. There'll be questions, study questions. Read those questions, talk to your friends about those questions before you come to class, and you're fine. Just stay awake and stay engaged, and you'll be absolutely fine. Again, A good answer is great, but what's more important is you learn from the process. You learn how to become a collective leader such that your organization can come up with the best possible answer. So finally, something that's very, very important to the Fung Institute, and I think has been a big part of our success, is our focus on ethics. And Cal has a great honor code. It's like the mission statement is short, gets to the point, and encapsulates what you want. As a member of the Berkeley community, I act with honesty, integrity, and respect for others. Great words. What does that mean? Let's try and be a little more tangible about that. Honesty, obviously, we don't cheat on exams, but it also extends to things like not telling your friends in the later sections about what happened earlier. Integrity. I think about integrity, it's hard for me to disassociate integrity with reputation. To me, integrity is something that one builds over time. It's what your boss thinks of you. It's what your employees think of you. It's what your friends and your family think of you. And it's a reputation such that when people hear you're in trouble, they say, you know, he's going to do the right thing. I know him. I was his classmate at Cal. He is in a heap of trouble right now. He's got problems from investors, et cetera, scandals all around him. He's going to do the right thing because I know him, and he's built that reputation, or she in many cases. So that's how I think about integrity. And finally, respect. And I think this is, you know, there's small details about this, but they're really important. So when you write a paper, you cite properly. Plagiarism is always a challenge. Be really careful about that. But even more so, when you're in these case discussions, give credit to the person who had the idea originally, and then show how you build upon that idea. This is respect. And finally, let's judge each other by our contributions, not by who or what we are, but by the good work that we do for our community. So I make you this promise. You work really hard, bust your you-know-whats for the next year, and we're going to send you out of here as a fantastic engineering leader. Thanks.
As Lee just indicated, you're about to embark on what's actually a pretty intense experience, and you're going to hear a lot of information and get a lot of knowledge. But before we do that, I just wanted to start actually with a question, which is, why are you here? Okay? It's a question that only you can answer. And the reason it's important is as you go through actually the year experience you're going to have here at the Fung Institute, there's a lot of opportunity for you to kind of shape what experience you're going to have. So I encourage you to kind of really take that to heart and try to figure out what you want to get out of this program. You can, as I said, only you can answer that, but I will answer it for myself, why I'm here. As you heard earlier from actually both of our speakers, certainly Coleman, is the world is changing dramatically fast, and it's technology that's driving that. No matter what field you look at, whether it's energy, climate, transportation, health, security, you name it, there is the power now of technology to transform this world at a pace that the world has never seen before. I truly believe that the difference between an incredibly great world coming out of that process and a world we're not going to be happy with is engineering and technical leadership. So I believe you are the key to the future. You are the leaders that are going to help this world navigate an intense period of change for my children and my grandchildren. So the why I'm here is I'm here to help you become a better leader. And that's my only purpose. And it's something that I'm really going to enjoy watching over the course of the year. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Capstone, because as Lee indicated, it's a critical central part of this project. And there are three things I want to emphasize. And again, they tie back to the why I'm here. They could be different for you. The first is it is a very integrative experience. Most of your life so far, you've acquired knowledge in a very compartmentalized way. You've taken a class, you've read a book, and you've become very smart in various areas. But what leaders do that's far more important than what you know is how you take that knowledge and combine it for yourself, but also motivate the people around you to combine their knowledge, to come up with action plans that deliver results. And the Capstone project you'll be on will probably be the greatest opportunity you've had so far in your career to actually do that critical role of a leader. The second benefit, or the second thing of Capstone I'd like to emphasize, is that it gives you an opportunity to really innovate. These are not practice projects, okay, that we create just so that you'll be able to use them in the course. These are real innovation projects. They have sponsors. They're expecting real results, and you're at the wheel, okay? You're not getting a lot of direction. You're the ones that are going to be, you and your teammates are going to be making the decisions on what to do and what not to do. One of the important things is that these are very challenging projects. Okay, and we expect you to struggle. In fact, actually, we hope you struggle. Because if you're sitting in this room, you have probably been very successful throughout your career. Okay? You didn't get in here by not being. We want you to understand what it's like to have setback, to try things that they don't work, to be able to pick yourself and your teammates up, look at failure not as an end point, but as a beginning to learn, pivot, and persist, to ultimately achieve success. That is a lesson that leaders absolutely must know. And then the third reason third thing about Capstone that I love is you will accomplish a lot. You will create a change. You will create a difference. Many of our Capstone teams actually go on to be startup companies, as Lee referred to. Almost all of them make a meaningful difference in the work that their sponsors doing. That's important to you while you're here, because it means that you spent a year actually accomplishing something. But even more important than that is that success is something you will take with you. And when you're sitting out 2 years from now in a job and nothing's working, it looks like the world is falling around you, you'll be able to think back to your time here at Berkeley where you were successful, you did make a difference. And if you did it once, you can do it again. So that really is a boost of confidence. So those for me are the top three things. Now, needless to say, this is a lot of work. I won't sugarcoat it. These are intense projects, but you don't have to do it alone. Behind me is the team that will be supporting you. You can see our titles, kind of how we split it up. Joy An, who I think most of you have talked to by email, will be one of your primary contacts in terms of dealing with the student problems. Alex, who you'll hear momentarily, will actually help with the academic side of Capstone, and then I'm here focusing on more external partnerships. However, the three of us work seamlessly, so we're here to support you with whatever you need. Just reach out and talk to us. So with that, I'd like to introduce Alex Beliaev, who's going to talk a little bit more about the details of Capstone.
It's great to see you. Welcome. I very much look forward to working with each and every one of you next year and working personally, getting to know your names and your projects. I would like to start with a question that really appears deceptively simple. What's a capstone? Appearances aside, this is actually a really, really important question. And it is a really important question because it doesn't have a single answer. And it's great that it doesn't have a single answer. We will have about 100 projects this year. It would make sense if this question had one answer, nor would it make sense if it could be answered at once. So this is the question to which we'll be coming back over and over again throughout the year. And this is the question that you will start asking yourself tomorrow during the Capstone Fair as you're thinking about the Capstone project that you're going to partake in. However, there is a common ground. There is a common ground that can help us engage this question together. And this common ground is the innovation process. Specifically, 3 phases of innovation process: technology, need, and solution. And I would really like to emphasize the word phase here. So I'm not talking about stages. I'm not talking about steps. I'm talking about phases that recur iteratively during the course of the year. I'm talking about questions that you will be posing and revisiting together with your Capstone team over and over again. And it is insofar as you will be revisiting these questions, that you will be able to move out of the academic bubble, which is pretty much right here. I want to talk more concretely about a Capstone team from last year. And this Capstone team actually went on to become a startup at the end of this year. And the team was formed around a technology invented here on campus, which basically created a tiny particles, nanocarriers, that could be loaded with drug cargo. So what was really cool about this technology, or what is really cool about it, is that I'm pressing the wrong button. Is that it is small enough to pass through the blood-brain barrier, which actually blocks most medication from reaching the brain. And this is a major innovation. It can solve one of the biggest anatomic riddles. Because most people who suffer from neurological illnesses, one reason that they get so sick during treatment is because most of the medication actually cannot get to the brain. It's blocked by the blood-brain barrier. So here we have it, technology, need, and solution. But do we? Actually, what we have is the first iteration. We have just a very preliminary, very general picture that the team started with at the beginning of the year, that they articulated shortly after the Capstone Fair. Throughout the year, throughout the fall semester, they thought very deeply about how they can pose specific and meaningful questions regarding technology, solution, and need. Certain drugs work better with nanocarriers. Certain diseases have a higher chance of being successfully treated with nanocarriers. So these questions were really important to articulate and then answer throughout the course of the year. And I have this slide here, not because I want you to read it. We will talk a lot about slide design, and one of the things that I will say over and over again, never ever use tables on your slides. But I was very tempted nonetheless to give you a sense of the level of detail that this team delved into. They answered these questions very specifically, to the point of chemotherapeutic agents that would work well with their technology. And in fact, the answers were so specific and so strong that they could launch a startup after 9 months of working on this project. So here we are back again on our shared common ground, the innovation process, technology, need, solution. And one thing that I'd like to say is that while each project will address all three aspects of the innovation process, you may find that either due to your career aspirations or the particularity of your project constraints, you're going to spend slightly more time focusing on one of these phases. And I wanted to give you several examples from, once again, the last year. This is Street Nature Score, and this team worked on empowering a variety of users, homeowners, real estate agents, home seekers, to use satellite data to evaluate urban nature around their homes. So they focused more on need. This team focused more on technology. They were very keen on figuring out how they can get a catheter visualized during an MRI. Right now, most catheters cannot be visualized during an MRI, and they created a resident marker that allowed for this to happen. And this team was more focused on coming up with a solution to a very specific problem, namely 3D printed implants. As I'm sure many of you have heard, 3D printed implants, custom printed implants for, let's say, hip replacements are now taking over. But the problem with 3D printing is higher levels of corrosion. And so this team was figuring out how to 3D print in such a way as to minimize corrosion. So here is an example of 3 Capstone teams focusing more on one of the 3 stages of the innovation process. So now that we talked about our shared ground, the innovation process in general, I want to spend a few minutes talking about delivery models, so how the Capstone is actually organized. And there are 3 major models. The first one, partner projects. Partner projects are led by an industry advisor, and you're typically working on external and possibly proprietary technology. And this means that you'll quite likely be asked to sign an NDA. These projects also have faculty liaisons with whom you meet maybe once or twice during the course of the term, but most of your contact is going to be with your industry advisors. Then we have university projects, and these are led by College of Engineering faculty. Also, you'll find that many of them have a very strong support team around the faculty, postdoc students, PhD students who will be working with you closely. And it is also possible that the faculty advisor works with someone in the industry on an issue of relevance. Finally, and this is really exciting, this is a new addition to our program, we have Capstone Experience courses. And in Capstone Experience courses, you work with College of Engineering faculty. And what's different about them is that most of the fall semester is spent getting the tools necessary in order to succeed working on your capstone project in the spring semester. So this is the difference between Capstone Experience courses and university projects. You are quite likely to be put on a team right away. If it doesn't happen right away, it'll happen in October. So you will have a sense of what it is you're working on in the first semester. However, most of the first semester will be spent getting sufficient background knowledge in order to be successful in the spring, which is when most of the capstone work will happen. So now that we talked about our common ground, the innovation process, as well as 3 delivery models, I want to talk about timelines. So I want to talk about how the year is actually going to look for us. Each capstone project has 3 types of deliverables. There is a project or a technical deliverable, there is a reporting deliverable, and there is also a project management / teaming deliverable. And the reason why I have these gears here and these gears here is because I'm actually starting to talk about curricular integration. This is something that Lee already mentioned, and this is also something that I will come to towards the end of my talk, because curricular integration is a real differentiating feature of the MEng program. It's one of our most profound strengths. So let's look at these 3 types of deliverables. Project deliverables. This is technical work that you set in consultation with your advisor. So these are going to be really different depending on the project. Some of you will be running experiments. Others will be creating models. Others will be prototyping. So there is a great variety. One thing that I would say and I would recommend highly is making sure that in addition to setting your final project deliverable, you also set interim deliverables during the course of the year. This will help you ensure that you are staying on course, and equally importantly, it'll help you make sure that your expectations are aligned with your advising team. Let's now look at teaming and project management assignments. We have a brand new course that we're building that will be happening in the spring, E270C, teaming and project management. And the goal of this course is to support the organization of your project and to support the immense amount of teamwork that will be required for your project. It will include things like working on your team charter, your project plan, as well as 360 feedback, which is the industry standard. And most of this work will be supported in E270C, Teaming and Project Management, the course that you will have in the spring, but some of it is going to begin in E295, Communications for Engineering Leaders. And it's not by accident that we have this course. The Fung Institute spends an enormous amount of resources, both on this course and on E295, which is engineering communications, or rather communications for engineering leaders. As Julie will say shortly, teaming and communication skills are the most highly sought after skills in engineers. Once again, to go back to Coleman's talk, we're talking about expanding the bubble. And these two courses are going to help you do that. So E295, reporting deliverables. There are 3 major reporting deliverables. We have a trade show-like event at the end of the fall semester, which we call Capstone Expo. We have a conference-like event at the end of the spring semester, which we call Capstone Showcase. And we also have a team-written final report. And it is written both for your advisors, both for an expert audience, but also for a tech-savvy general audience. And this is something that you could, provided that you did not sign an NDA or there is an agreement with your advisor, share on LinkedIn, including your engineering portfolio and so on. So now that I talked about delivery models and timelines, I want to talk about curricular integration, which by now is a topic that you're familiar with because Lee talked about it. I already mentioned it. What's really different about the MEng program is the fact that all of your courses cohere into one experience. And so far, I've been talking about the capstone, and now I would like to shift gears, pun intended. This joke was written in this morning over coffee. And I want to talk about the 2 other gears, technical courses and engineering leadership. So a few words about technical courses. Your capstone course may require that you enroll in a technical co-requisite. And something like this is going to be written in the proposed capstone project. It is also possible that your advisor may strongly recommend that you enroll in a particular technical course. And if that happens, I strongly advise you to listen to them because they want to make sure that you have the technical skills needed to succeed in your project. However, keep in mind that your capstone course and your technical electives have to be separate. You cannot count your capstone as your technical elective. And if you're confused about this, it's really important to talk either to your departmental graduate student affairs officer or to Joy to make sure that this does not happen. All right. And now on to leadership courses. Boot camp starts tomorrow, and it is an incredibly exciting time. Both in the fall and in the spring, you're going to be exposed to a variety of topics. And as you're discussing these cases, as you're delving deep into the issues that protagonists of these cases are facing with, ask yourself what interests you. Ask yourself what kind of issues you want to pursue, you want to focus on, you want to explore in the context of your capstone project. Because about a third to a half of your final reporting deliverable is going to be spent on capstone context and strategy. And leadership courses will help you do that. And last but not least, I want to talk about E295, Communications for Engineering Leaders. In addition to being a director of academic capstone experience, I'm also a lead instructor for this course. And what I want to say about this, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, the goal of the course is twofold. In addition to supporting your work on capstone projects, this course is also going to support your work on career development. About half of the assignments in this course will help you to develop your career trajectory. So this is the first thing. And the second thing that I want to say is that this course has a very unique structure. We meet twice a week for a workshop section, sometimes known as a lecture section, and most of you are already enrolled into it. You enrolled in it on Cal Central. And we also meet once for a practicum section. And for practicum section, you need to sign up together with your capstone team. So most of you don't know your capstone team, so you cannot sign up. Once you know your capstone team, you go to B courses. There is a link to a Google Sheet, and you sign up together with your capstone team, because you'll be working on your reporting deliverables together. You'll be giving presentations together. You'll be writing together. So it's really important for you to be in the practicum section together. And do note our start dates. We start later than most classes on campus because we're tied to your capstone. And this is what I wanted to share with you today, and I'm going to pass on to Joy.
So I want to delve into the mechanics. So you've heard all about the capstone projects. You guys are excited. You received multiple emails over the summer of what projects are going to be available and a lot of information about the process. But let's dive into it a little bit deeper. And first, I just want to make a general announcement. There still are more projects coming in last minute to us, right? So as they come in to me, I will send out announcements in B courses so you are aware that there's more things to look at and you have more choices. So that's one thing that we're going to handle. So some key dates. What are some things that are coming up? So you all by now should have been sent an email by EduSource directly. So you can log into EduSource, and this is the online platform that we will be using for when you apply to your project. So make sure if you have not, attend the EduSource training. It's on B courses. It's a 5-minute clip, really simple. The next thing is, how many of you have already signed up for at least 1 or 2 days of the Capstone Information Fair? Let me see your hands. Yeah, everybody, pretty much. So if you haven't, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, Capstone Info Fairs are happening starting tomorrow through Friday during the lunch hour. For those of you that have RSVP'd, most of you in this room, lunch will be provided on the days that you RSVP'd for. If for some reason you want to attend and you didn't RSVP, just come anyway. We will let you come in. It's just lunch is only provided for those that RSVP'd, so we need to make sure that those students eat first. If we have extra, we will definitely feed you. But the main goal is not food. It's to learn more about the projects. Okay? Just throwing it out there. So after the end of this week, you'll be receiving detailed instructions of how can I apply to my top 3 choices. So I know now, I've talked to different advisors, I've kind of decided on what are my 3 top projects. That detailed instructions will be coming out at the end of this week, and I'll send you a long drawn out email so you guys won't have any questions and be able to follow it seamlessly. I hope. If you have questions, let me know. So the next few weeks will all be about applying to your capstone projects, working with the advisors. The advisors might reach out to you. They might set up an interview with you to make sure that you are a good fit for that project, that you have the background and skill set to succeed in that project through the year. And then you will accept a project and you will then enroll. So we must have everyone enrolled in their project by September 8th. That's the deadline, so you don't have to pay any fees to enroll later. So we'll get that all done and out for you. So you will enroll in the section of E296 that matches up with your faculty advisor. Okay? So if you're on one team and your faculty advisor has multiple teams, you'll all still be enrolled in the same section. So that's what's important to keep in mind, that you enroll with your faculty advisor. If you don't, I will let you know. So here's how it's going to work out. Just to reiterate, there's going to be an EduSource application poll that opens on the 18th. We want you guys to spend this whole week learning more about the projects. We don't want you to have your mind made up now and apply, because speaking with advisors will give you a different perspective of what is actually happening, right? Talking with someone is different than reading a paragraph on a piece of paper. The advisors will speak with you, interview you, offer you a position on their project, and you will accept and get enrolled. So that's mechanics, the basics of it, right? So I'm just going to go over a brief, show you how to do it on EduSource. You'll get these instructions later, but we just wanted to give you a brief preview. So hopefully this will jog your memory when you go to apply. So first things first, you log into your account. It's very exciting. So your email is your Berkeley email address, and you should have already received an email with your initial temporary password. So go ahead and update your password. Next thing you want to do is upload your resume. So this is the resume that all advisors all the projects that you apply to. You have no clue why this screen's all messed up, but it's fine. So you will upload your resume. So your advisors will look at this resume. And if you accidentally upload something else or the wrong one and you go, shoot, I wanted to upload something else, just do it. They will only be able to see your final uploaded resume. So it's not a problem if you accidentally make a mistake. So in the top, you'll see that there is a section for the polls. So you'll have an outstanding poll, and it's really easy, take the poll. So by take the poll, we mean apply to your top 3 projects. This is an application poll. So once you are logged in and signed up and you hit take the poll, you'll see a multitude of projects. You'll see, since you've already discovered and know which top 3 you're applying to, you can easily scroll through and it's listed alphabetically. But you will then be able to see project details again that you've already seen on the shared Google Sheet that you've all been looking at for the last month. So first you will rank it. And at the very bottom, for your top 3 projects that you're applying to, you will go ahead and consider this like a mini cover letter for each project. So you're going to give the answer of what are you going to be able to contribute to the project based on your skill set and strengths. And then, why are you interested in this project? So you will answer those 2 questions for your top 3 projects. And also at the very end, you'll answer what 2 additional projects you're interested in case you are not put on one of your top 3 projects, if you're not accepted. So I would say 80 to 90% of people will be placed on one of their top 3 projects, but if not, there's round 2. And so we'll take all the remaining students and all the remaining projects. There might be some projects that still need students to form a whole team. So we'll do a round 2, and we'll get you guys all set up and into your classes by September 8th. It's the goal. One thing that you need to note is once you apply and you hit that submit button, you're done. Like if you make a mistake there, that's it. There's no going back, Joy, can I take it again? It's either really hope that you really wanted to apply to those 3 projects that you said, or wait until round 2 and we'll see what projects are still left. So you run that gamble. So this is just something to really hold tight. Don't hit that submit button until you're sure. So you'll receive an email when you have been placed on a project by an advisor, and there could be a chance that maybe so many advisors loved you that you got placed on 3 projects. And you're like, whoa, what do I do now? Now you have the choice. You have the choice to go in and remove yourself from the 2 projects that you're not going to pursue, right? So with those, if this case does happen, you also need to email the advisors to let them know so they can offer the project to other students that they were interested in, okay? And that's how you do it. You really just go in and you click remove. It's not hard, not hard, okay? So that's the mechanics of it. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to email myself later. So we're going to move on to the next part of the presentation, which is learning more about student services that Beth and Megan provide.
Thank you, Joy. Welcome again. My name is Beth Leven. I'm the Director of Academic Affairs for the Fung Institute, working primarily on the MEng program. And I've been here since the program started 6 classes ago, our 7th class, together with Fleming and Julie and Hazel, and most of the team that you have. Was also a Berkeley undergrad. I also grew up in Berkeley, so if you have any Berkeley-related questions, I'm happy to help you, whether it's where to live or where to eat, or the best places to take a nap on campus, though that's changed a little since I was an undergrad. And I also did my master's in higher education in Boston to get a different experience. And I have worked at the business school as well. So part of what we did with this program, the first professional program in the College of Engineering, was bring a lot of the best practices and frankly a lot of the lecturers over from the Haas School of Business to join our program. So enough about me. The policy that we like to live in student services is that students come first. So I do want to spend the first part of our presentation talking about you. So again, congratulations on getting admitted. It was a really competitive pool. We received over 2,300 applications for over 400 spots. So congratulations on making it, though your challenge has just begun. So we're a really diverse group, as you can see from looking around you. While the majority of you are international students, half of you have been coming from currently living in the United States to this program. The other half truly are coming from other places outside the US. We're really proud to be over 30% female, which is a really strong number in the engineering field. We're also diverse in terms of, we're also diverse in terms of the, oops, sorry, going backwards like everyone else. The types of engineering you study. So that's another unique differentiator of our program, right? One is the intense integration of the leadership and business topics with your technical degrees, but also the fact that you're sitting among, 7 different departments in their College of Engineering, 7 different ways of thinking about engineering, and within that, we have about 25 different concentrations as well. So the idea is your discussions in the leadership and bootcamp classes will be really enhanced as a result. So that's a really key differentiator of our program. So to further emphasize our diversity, this is our representation of citizenship around the world, 33 different countries. So I challenge you to meet someone from each of those countries while you're here. You can keep track of that. We have all the flags up in the ping pong room in Shires Hall, so that can help you keep track of it. You can try to memorize all the different country flags. This is backwards, totally backwards. So we have a great student services team. So the team that is housed at Shires Hall with the Fung Institute is myself, Joy, and Megan. I'll let Joy introduce herself in just a minute. Megan, you will meet at the team building event after lunch. So she'll give a hello there. You've also gotten a lot of emails from Megan and a lot of emails from Joy, so I'm sure their names are familiar to you. But we are here to help. Please come see us anytime. You can drop by, you can make an appointment, you can call us. But we're a great resource because we really want you to focus on the content of your experience here, not like the bureaucracy and the administration. So let us help you with that. So with that, I'm going to give it over to Joy to introduce herself, but also give you some examples of some of the services that we offer to help enhance your experience.
Now I can tell you more about me instead of just telling you about Capstone. So I've been with the Fung Institute. You guys will be my 4th class. So I've been here a while now and watch the whole program grow and grow and grow. So I'm your senior student services and Capstone advisor. Been here 3 years. Before that, I worked 5 years at UC Irvine down in Southern California. Anyone from UCI? Yes! Sorry, give a little shout out. It's also my undergrad. So that's a little bit about me. But let's talk about how Beth and I can support you all through your year here. So if you see this slide, you have a diverse support network. So from career development team to the Capstone team to the student services team, there's a lot of people here that want you to succeed, and we will help you every step of the way. In terms of what's on campus, so there are resources on campus as a whole, right? Some of you might be using services at the international office, and then as well is the Career Center on main campus, right? So the people here with Julie, Jocelyn, Terry, and Jill are dedicated just for you, but there's also resources on main campus. So in terms of, as Beth said, you are dual citizens of both your department and the Fung Institute. So while I'm your advisor here at the Fung Institute, you each also have another advisor within your department who can help you. So if you kind of think of, okay, so who do I go for what? If it's anything technical course related, I would go to your technical department, right? So, and anything Fung Institute, engineering, Capstone related, come to myself and to Megan. So also, so you'll have your course instructors and your GSIs in your classes that everyone here wants you to succeed, and we'll all help you do that. So leadership opportunities. So we'll be talking about, so how can you get involved and how can you show and help and shape your MEng program? So there's leadership opportunities to get involved with us. So we will be sending out tomorrow the application to nominate yourself. So Julie will go into a little later of what that looks like in terms of the career development team, right? So you will be on the student leadership team of the Fung Institute helping with career and making sure that your fellow cohort gets all the career opportunity needs met, right, for each department. There are academic reps. So there'll be 4 academic reps, 2 from the full-time program and then 1 from each year of the part-time program. So we hear, those people are our eyes and ears, and you can give them feedback as to what's going really well, what students' concerns are, and bring those to us as staff, and we will help address them. Okay? Same with social reps. So social reps are the people that are helping you have fun and connect with each other throughout the year. So these people connect with us, and we provide them a budget, and they will help provide events so you guys can get to know each other. There's 400 of you. It's going to take a little while for you guys to be able to meet everyone and form those friendships, but we have the social reps to help do that. So some things that have been done in the past, like a pumpkin carving time, people make tie-dye shirts, and then everyone goes to the big game together. You guys do a ton of different events. Tahoe might be a trip that's planned. So just things that help you connect with each other, because you really are your best network, right? So just giving you that opportunity. And then as well as mission ambassadors. So mission ambassadors will be reaching out to you in like November, December. And this is the time for you guys to say, hey, I want to take a vested interest in shaping who next year's class is and continuing to help us continue improve the program, right? Improve the quality of the students that are admitted. So you'll help us interview. How many of you remember when you applied, you had to set up an interview with a student or alum? Raise a hand. So just a few of you. And then the other, some of you, a lot of people were interviewed. Let's just say that. So some of you, maybe you don't remember. But we have a huge team of students and alumni that do this because they really are invested in the future of the MEng program. So what are the things that Beth, Megan, and I provide? So advising. If you have questions, concerns, or going through anything where you need help or direction of where are the best spots on campus for XYZ, we will help. We're there to make sure that your needs are addressed, or any concerns or hardships that you're going through, we can help, right? That's the main thing, help. So we provide you with the student handbook, which you all have totally read from page to page. And so if you have any questions, refer back to the handbook. But so that's there if you have any questions about the program. Study space. So how many of you guys came to visit day? Some people? Do you remember going to Shire's Hall? Yeah? That's your home. So on the third floor is a bunch of student space, and as well as the ping pong table that we were telling you about earlier, where all the flags are. So we also will be communicating you a lot through B courses. So you've received a ton of emails so far, but transitioning now onward, we'll be doing everything with your Berkeley email address and through B courses. So you see the other thing up there is coffee chats. So we want to also help you connect with fellow students and create an atmosphere of caffeine. So the coffee chats will be happening twice a month, where we're going to be, we'll find the 2 convenient times for the majority of students. And we'll be providing coffee and snacks, and it's just a chance for you to take a break, shake it off, eat some snacks, talk to your fellow students, and get some coffee. And we'll be there to hang out too. So I'll pass it back over to Beth, and she'll give you more instructions about boot camp, the all-important boot camp.
All right. Right. So today is all fun and team building and listening. Tomorrow, your real work begins. Or rather, your demonstration of your work, because you've already read the cases for tomorrow, right? All right. You should come to class prepared. Lee talked to you a little bit about how to have a fantastic case discussion. Definitely read that advice as well. But I'm going to talk about the logistics, because I said, we like to handhold you, take care of this, so we're just going to point you in the right direction. So you can show up on time for class and perform. The other thing I wanted to emphasize before I just go into these logistics is that we do, Joy and Megan and I, we want to help with your issues and your problems before they become a crisis. Don't, when you come to talk to us, you can talk to us about anything. It's confidential if you want it to be, and just, like I said, come to us earlier than you think something is going to turn into a real problem, because the earlier we work with you on something increases the chances that we'll be able to help you solve that successfully. So please reach out. All right, boot camp location. So all of you have signed up for a boot camp class. You have 2 classes. You're going to be in class for 2 90-minute classes a day. The rest of the time you're going to be studying with your study group, reading your cases, getting to know Berkeley, that sort of thing. So we had some last-minute changes to some classrooms in the business school, which are really great case classrooms. So please note those here. And yes, Chait here is the business school. So if you're in the evening classes with the Safar, you'll go there during the week. And then also note, your classrooms are going to be different on the weekend. Joy will send out a reminder, but please also remember to go to a different location if you're in the morning OB class or in Zafar's class. He's moving to a different location at the business school. So these are also posted on B courses. Just to point you in the general direction, anybody here explore campus yet or take a campus tour? You guys have been walking around? Nope? Oh yeah, just a few people. So now's the time to do it. So here we're right, let's see. We're in the Bechtel Engineering Building right here. So you found us today, this morning, yay. If you go further north, you will find our MEng offices in Shires Hall, and that's where Joy talked about you'll have 24/7 access to Shires Hall, to work. Please don't sleep there, but you know, if you have late study hours, you're welcome. The CDSP classroom is right behind us in the building there. If you're in the Goldman School, you're right here. So all of this is considered north side of campus, north of where we are here. So then if you're going to the business school, you're going to this part of the business school, Chait Hall, and that's more on the south side of campus. So you see that's Bancroft Way. This is a big grassy area where some people play Ultimate and ROTC hangs out, music library, faculty glade. But you're going to be a little further south. So take that into consideration when you're going to class. Remember, when you go to class tomorrow, you're going to sit in a seat. That's going to be your seat for the 8 days of boot camp. You want to bring your name tent. That'll help the professor cold call you. That'll help the proctor give you credit for being in class and for your comments. So bring that every day. That's really important. All right. Sounds like that is news to many people. All right. So I would just want to take this time to tell you about the rest of the day at orientation before I pass it over to Julie and Han. And then I'll have some housekeeping after they talk, before we let you eat. Once you're done with the career services presentation and you're all fired up, we're going to take you out for a class photo. So you're going to go up just this way. We'll lead you up to the Hearst Memorial Mining Building steps. You'll take a nice class photo. And then you're actually going to come right back here to lunch. There's some inside seating, but we also want to invite you to go up on the terrace. It's a really nice place to eat lunch and all around, picnic style. And we'll also be giving you t-shirts and bags and pad folios as well. You can collect those at lunch. And then afterwards, you're coming back here to Sibley Auditorium, but don't worry, you're only going to sit still for like 5 minutes before you go out and do your afternoon team building activity. And it's a long day. After that, your department breakouts, and then after that, we feed you again for dinner. We have a Berkeley tradition, top dog, including vegetarian hot dogs and other hot dogs that we'll have outside in this area as well, another picnic style. So hope that helps orient you a little bit. I know it wasn't the most exciting material, but now we're going to get back into the interesting content with Julie McShane, who is our Associate Director of Career Services.
Hello, everybody. You're holding tight. Thank you so much. I know it's a lot of information for you today. I also want to welcome you. As you can see, we are all very excited to start the academic year with our biggest class yet. And if you're not kind of getting the picture, you guys are going to be really, really busy. You're probably gathering that already. So like Beth said, I'm the Associate Director of the Career Development Team. My name is Julie McShane. And I have been working in higher education for the last 14 years, mostly in the career development realm, developing career programs and industry relation programs. And I've been at Cal for 9 years. I originally worked at the Central Career Center, and I've been with the Fung Institute for the past 6 years. So since our first class, since 2011. So I've watched us grow and change. And I truly love working with engineers. I love working with the tech community. It's a great place to be. So you've heard a lot from us. I want to hear a little bit from you. So just to see where everybody's sitting, where are the mechanical engineers this morning? Okay, so, yep, our biggest area. Nuclear engineers. Okay, it looks like you found some of your fellow students already. Bioengineers and civil. Okay, great. And how many of you, is this your first time in Berkeley, at Berkeley? Okay, a few people. Oh, a lot of people. What about the United States? First time in the United States. Well, welcome. I know, how many people are terribly jet lagged? Yeah, okay. Well, again, thank you for bearing with us while we give you all this information. Like many of you, I'm not originally from the Bay Area. I grew up in the Midwest around Chicago. I did my undergraduate at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I lived in Boston for a few years, and that's where I did my graduate degree. I've also lived in Seville, Spain, Tokyo, Japan. So I know what it's like to move to a new area, and I know what it's like to move to a new area and want to launch a job search. So I know what it feels like, and so does the rest of our career development team. I'm going to take a moment to introduce them. Jocelyn Fay, our career specialist, and Terry Moore is also with us here today, another career specialist. And our team and the rest of the Fung Institute, we want to make your transition to graduate life as easy as possible, and we really want to make sure you have a successful time launching your career at Cal. So over the next hour, I'm going to go over a few things, and we're lucky to have an alumni to talk about his experiences with us today. But as you'll learn, and as you've heard a little bit already today, there's a wide network of resources for you. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Masters of Engineering specific resources that you have, campus resources, the wider Bay Area. But there are a lot of opportunities as you start this journey. And it's, as anything, whether it's the case workshops that you're doing in the classroom or it's your capstone, it's what you put into it and what you take out of this year. I'm going to talk about some alumni recruiting stories so you can see what it looks like, how there are different paths for every person, how people leverage these resources in different ways, and how this path of success really is truly yours to make, and we're here to guide you along the way. I'm going to touch briefly on the skills that employers are looking for in their candidates and what a job search looks like at Cal, important recruiting dates. But like Alex mentioned before, these attributes that employers want, we're giving them to you in the program. We're giving you the opportunity to learn them and to practice them, and the career development team is going to help you learn how to talk about them in the interviews. And we're running a little bit over, but we're going to try and save as much time at the end for questions for the segments, both too. People always want to talk to Han, so we like to save lots of time for him. And these slides will be posted on B Courses and emailed out to you. So when you see the dates that I'm going to go over, you don't have to worry about writing anything down. Everything will be posted on B Courses. So the career development team, what are we here to do? So we want to guide you. We provide resources. We help you develop these professional development skills, these professional skills that you're going to use throughout your whole career, and networking opportunities. These are all essential pieces in your career and fundamentals. Like I said, you can go back and you're going to use time and time again as you explore in your career and you grow in your career. So before I get a little bit more into the specifics of the how and the what we do, I want to talk about networking. It's already been mentioned numerous times today, networking with each other, networking with people on campus, but it's a hot topic because that is the number one way that you explore in your career and you create opportunities and you ultimately get those job offers that you are all going to be looking for when you graduate from the program. And you will have ample time to do it throughout this program. And you've all been sitting for a little while. So I want to start right now. I want to start giving you the opportunity to meet each other. This is your network. And your career trajectory doesn't happen in a vacuum. Just like your capstone project does not happen in a vacuum. Everything is team-oriented. Around you, there's a wealth of knowledge and resources. So let's take a break. Let's do a little exercise. How many of you love to network? Oh, there's always one or two people. They're like, I love this. This is what I want to do. Not. How many people, not so comfortable with it? Don't really like it. Yeah, that's, how many people don't even like the word? Don't even want to hear people mention the word. It just makes them completely uncomfortable. Yeah, that's completely normal. And we try and when I work with students, I try and take away that stigma a little bit. First, it's simply asking for directions, and you're going to be doing that a lot this year. Just like Joy mentioned, if you have issues that are coming up with your courses or your capstone, you need to ask for help. You do that in your career too. You're simply asking for directions. We've put together a lot of different mechanisms to ask for directions this year, and I'm going to go into that in a moment. But now, feel free to stand up, shake it out a little bit. But think of a question, a career-related question, a professional question, something that you want to explore this year, get more advice on. Turn to your neighbor, turn to maybe up to 3 people. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, but talk to each other. Ask them this question. See what kind of advice, what kind of leads you get. You'd be surprised. There are over 350 people in this program. Some of your best resources are right next to you. And you probably just need a little break from us talking. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. There's some example questions here, but if there's an industry you're interested in, turn to the people around you, ask them if they know something about it, if they have an idea how you can get started investigating a specific job. I'll break you at 5 minutes, but feel free to stand up, turn to your neighbor, and ask these questions.
That's for later. And you have to.
Okay, everybody. I'm going to bring you back together. Hello. We're going to come back together now. If everybody can get their seats, if everybody can sit back down. If everybody can sit back down. If everybody can find their seats again. I love hearing the buzz in the room. I think you guys are excited too. That's great. It sounds like a lot of good information was being shared. You were meeting each other. That's what we're looking for. With your questions, did anybody get any good leads or advice from some of the people you just met? Any good information to the questions? Great. As you will find, a lot of the knowledge and resources are people sitting next to you. They're in your community already, your networks already, and you're just going to be building upon that. So utilize each other. Utilize the resources and some of the platforms we've put together. I'm going to go into in just a moment. We have a Slack channel set up. And there are different ways for you guys to share information and help each other throughout the process. But there's a lot of knowledge and experience already here. And once you go out into industry, you're going to be industry peers and probably helping each other throughout your whole career. So thank you for sharing and giving each other some good ideas and leads. So next, how is the career development team working with you? So we provide one-on-one career coaching. You can make appointments through us. Our appointment calendars are always in the signature of our emails. So you've probably already seen them. I know some of you have found them already. So the career development team does one-on-one coaching. We're available throughout the year. The classroom integration that Alex mentioned. So some of the things that you need to do to launch your job search have been integrated into the curriculum. So you have the time to think about how you want to explore and what type of resources and things that you need to do. And it's a really unique piece of the program that you're giving the time and encouragement to do this throughout the year. We provide workshops, so professional development workshops. For example, we do a workshop that will be coming up in late September on business etiquette, and one of the first things that our lecturer tells us is you always put your name tag on the right side. So when you're shaking a hand with somebody for the first time, they have a direct line of vision. Oh, I see a lot of name tags changing sides. You have a direct line of vision to your name, and they can see your name right away. So these are the types of workshops that we put together. By the end of the program, not only will you be stronger engineers and strong leaders, but you will have the professional development skills. You'll know how to write strong resumes, cover letters, negotiate your salary, launch a job search. You'll know the importance and how to leverage things like LinkedIn. Han's going to be talking a little bit more about branding, and how to ace an interview. We do a 3-part series on interviewing skills. So not only will you be good at interviewing, but you'll be the interviewer soon enough. So those skills will come back at you twofold. So that is part of the integrative nature of our program. And most of things have been posted already on B Courses, so check the B Courses calendar as well so you can mark your calendar. So career exploration. This is something that we also want to encourage and provide opportunities for you to figure out, how do you want to leverage your technical abilities, your leadership skills when you get out of the program. So we started with you over the summer. We did the Ask the Experts series. We brought in alumni to present webinars on their particular job and industry. If you missed any of those are also posted on B Courses, so go ahead and revisit them, and we'll continue to do that format throughout the year in the form of career chats. Typically Friday afternoons, where alumni or business professional will come in and let you and talk to you about what they do, how they got there. You can ask questions and see if that's something that you're interested in exploring. We have some Masters of Engineering specific networking events. Two of our most popular ones are with alumni in the Bay Area. The first one's coming up on September 10th. So that's one of our first events that we have. We always get a great turnout for alumni, so it's a very comfortable atmosphere to start strengthening your networking skills, building your network, and learning about job opportunities and things that you potentially want to explore. We'll be launching an alumni database at the end of the month. So in addition to using something like LinkedIn, we have alumni that have volunteered to be ambassadors of the program, that you can reach out to them. You can do informational conversations, ask these questions. A lot of you have already joined our Slack channel. We have alumni mentors on those channels. So if you are noticing my theme, it's ask for directions, ask for help. Start gathering information from those around you to learn more about your path and the trajectory that you want to pursue, both during the program and after the program. So yeah, I know some of you on Slack, but I'm sure the website's probably going to get a bunch of hits right about now. But it's a great resource. And you don't just have resources within the Masters of Engineering program. You have access, like Joy mentioned, to the entire Berkeley campus, all the resources that are on campus. And there are really too many of them for me to list today. There are professional student organizations that do events and info sessions. The Central Career Center on campus has wonderful programs and workshops, and they're the ones that do the career fairs that many of you will choose to attend. The consulting career fair is coming up on August 31st. So things are starting pretty quickly if you choose to start exploring and interviewing early. You certainly can do that, and that is something that we recommend. Whether you just start talking to people or you're sending out resumes, that's up to you. But I think exploring early is a great thing. Challenges and competitions, you'll see lots of those happening on campus. I'd like to highlight that because for those of you that are maybe pivoting in your career or coming from a non-traditional background, maybe you've done a lot of research, those are great opportunities to gain experience, to, again, practice, you have your capstone, but practice those skills in a different way. So you can look out for those, and a lot of times the prizes are really good, and the food is good. So, attend those. And the info sessions that I just mentioned, I think those are good to highlight. Those are companies that are coming to campus to talk to Berkeley students. Some students think that going to an info session or a career fair isn't necessarily worth your time, but I want to tell you that it is. Recruiters remember if you went. They take note of it, and it's a great way to learn about companies, learn if the job is for you or the company is something that you're a good fit for you. And it can also help you throughout the interview process as you gain some really good insights into maybe their interviewing and recruiting practices. So that's a lot of information right there. I have a couple of alumni stories that alumni sent back to me what their career trajectories look like. I have two. This is Nigel. He came from a biomedical background and came here to study product design. So he was totally shifting in what he wanted to focus on. At one point, he thought he was going to go to medical school, so his trajectory was going in a completely different direction. He came to this program to learn the skills that he needed. And you can see the different things that he pieced together to be successful throughout the year in his job search and career exploration. For him, he really dove deep into the research. He researched every mobile tech company. He went to every info session, and he was able to show up in person and communicate his passion. His resume didn't quite match his passion, but his passion ultimately won out because he knew everything that they were doing, product-wise, service-wise. You'll have an opportunity to do some industry research in your communications class. So you can leverage that class to help you in your job search. And this is something that Nigel did. Ultimately, he met his employer at a career fair. He expressed that he utilized our interviewing workshops, so he was able to communicate articulate well that why he was a good fit and talk about his career change and his interest in their companies. And ultimately, he ended up at Motorola in research and design, a place that he really wanted to be. He's in the Midwest. He's in Chicago. His family's in Michigan. But he pick and chose different things that got him to that place. And another example is an IUR student who thought he was interested in consulting and started early and applied to consulting and ultimately discovered that wasn't really his passion. He met an alumni of the Masters of Engineering program at a career fair, got a referral from that alumni, and went to a rotational program at SanDisk because he thought that really matched more of his interest in leadership. He got to learn a little bit about everything at the company. He was somebody coming into the program without a lot of experience, so doing that really benefited him to ultimately get where he wanted. Apple was one of his dream jobs. It didn't end up being his first job out of the program, but he took a step in the right direction to get where he wanted to go. I think something to highlight on his career path is he not only leveraged the Masters of Engineering network, but he used LinkedIn. Apple found him on LinkedIn and invited him to a happy hour, and he went. He went and he talked to people, and that's how he got invited for an interview and ended up at an Apple a year or so after graduating from the Masters of Engineering program. So those are two examples. To give you a little bit of a larger picture of what recruiting looks like, because I know that on-campus recruiting is new to some of you. Employers coming to campus to conduct interviews here. Handshake is the portal that we use. We have somebody coming this week to do an introduction to Handshake and how you can use it, and from the Career Center. But as I mentioned, recruiting starts early. The consulting forum and banking forums are in August, followed by 2 major career fairs in September, and then also some Masters of Engineering networking events. We have an employer breakfast that we host to kick off recruiting. That's in conjunction with the Cal Career Fair. And then you'll see that these events go throughout the year. And many people don't start recruiting right away, and that's okay. But I would encourage everybody to be exploring early. There are more career fairs in the spring semester. On-campus recruiting continues through April. So there are jobs being posted on Handshake throughout the year. And what are employers looking for? Alex mentioned this before. So this is a survey that goes out to employers through the National Association of Colleges and Employers every year. And every year, it's these professional skills that come up on top. And this is what you're learning in the program. This is a great fit for what industry is looking for. People that know how to work in a team, that have leadership skills, the communication skills. When they come to Berkeley, they expect your technical skills to be strong. And they are strong, and they will just get stronger. And you will have things to show for that. But now you have this other side that you'll be able to practice and learn and strengthen throughout the year. So it's not just us saying it. This survey goes out every year, and these soft skills are equally as important for employers. They are looking for that well-rounded engineer. Before I invite Han up, I want to give you a framework for what you can expect out of your job search, out of the cycle. And it is a cycle. It's a cycle this year, and people will change jobs and careers many, many times throughout their life. So you'll go through this many times. And we hope that you will have the skills to launch this at any point when you feel like you need to change jobs, change careers. It ties into what Coleman was saying. We want you to go beyond your bubble. And you should have the network and the skills to be able to do it. So it starts with reflecting. You know, you'll always, to have this and to be able to come back to this fundamental, the first assignment in Alex's class gives you this opportunity to reflect on your career goals, what type of plan and path you want to set forth for yourself. There are lots of opportunities, like I mentioned, to start exploring and targeting companies to really hone in on what you want to do. There are opportunities to engage, and this is an engagement process. You get out as much as you put into it. There's lots of opportunities out there for you, and each person's path will look a little bit different. The preparation piece is important. You will get job interviews, you will get opportunities, but you have to go into those prepared. Utilize our workshop, utilize our resources, the campus resources, and each other. And the last piece of this, it doesn't stop there. You have to, you perform on your job. You excel, you keep learning. Learning is a lifelong thing, and when it's time to move on to the next endeavor, that you start this process all over again. So I really like this framework. I think it's a good way to look at what you'll be doing this year. So once again, that's the career development team. How you can reach us. I encourage you to all get on Slack, start asking those questions that you asked each other here today, and get advice from one another and utilize those alumni mentors that are on those channels, and make the most out of this year. It's an exciting time, like Lee said. It's a fun year. It goes by fast. You're going to learn a lot. And nobody else can showcase that more than Han, who is going to join us and talk a little bit more about his experience in the program. Han Jin, he is a serial entrepreneur. He graduated in 2012 from the Masters of Engineering program and the IEOR department. He also went to SanDisk after he graduated, but now has started his own company, Lucid VR. And Han, come on up.
Okay, I promise, no more information. You don't need to take notes. Every year I come back and give this speech, and every year I feel like reminded of how it felt like to sit in the audience. I was as excited on the first day about orientation like you, curious about what's coming up, listening to the speakers, being very excited to be here at Berkeley. Most of the time, after every speech, I would come up here and ask the speaker, what's your secret? What makes you successful? And I would ask every speaker that. Some of the speakers I asked twice, they were totally annoyed, but then, I wanted to know. And they gave me pointers towards applying or communication skills and networking, as you have done here pretty well. And at the end of the day, what I realized, though, is it's something you have to find out for yourself. What is the core? And so today, I want to show you or share with you what I found over the last couple of years when I graduated 5 years ago, and share with you some of the learnings, because I'm not here to talk about how to do it. I'm here to show you how I failed. There you go. Okay, so one of the core things I learned while being here at Cal was personal branding. And probably most of you don't really know what personal branding means. It's like, do I need to become like a Louis Vuitton or something like that? But so let's start off with, what is a brand? Does anybody know? It's not that difficult. I don't give grades too. Okay, please.
It's a symbol.
It's a symbol, okay. And what does the symbol do?
It carries a meaning and value.
Correct. So, for example, if you look at Apple, the brand Apple, you have associations with it. That means you think of design, you think about sleek products, you think about future, right? What about McDonald's? What is the first thing which pop up in your mind when you think about McDonald's? Tasty! Yes, I love it. I learned nobody goes to McDonald's anymore here. But that's the same. And the same stuff can be applied not to companies, but also to people. For example, if you think of Mark Zuckerberg, what's your first thought? Young, successful, smart, right? Or Steve Jobs. What about that? Crazy. So if you imagine yourself as a brand, and that's not just from a company perspective, but from a personal perspective, then you can see yourself as a product, as something which fulfills a need or can stand out and which makes other people memorize you or remember you. And that's one of the most important things to build up when you are early in your career, because you want those guys to call you up when they are having a job opening, if they're looking for a co-founder, if they're looking for someone who can solve that problem. And so if you look into personal branding, you have a very special, unique value proposition, which means, everybody has their own story, everybody has their own strength. And you have two sides. One is how others see you and how you see yourself, right? And most of that, if you don't do anything, it's distributed like this. It's like 80% of what people see you, and then 20% like how you see yourself, and then it gives a very blurry picture of who you are. I realized that you can actually shift that. That means if you put enough effort and understand how to drive that brand perception, you're able to shift it. Shift it in a way which is more, which brings more your strength out, your skills out. And that's most important. And so when I first started, I asked all my colleagues and the students around me. We were only 70, by the way. You guys are way more than that. So I asked them, so what do you think of me? What's my brand? And so people would say like, oh yeah, you are the Korean-looking guy with funny hair and skinny jeans. That was my brand. And I was like, okay, good, I'm not even Korean. And and I speak German, but okay, whatever. So over years, you start shifting and start understanding. And all of you probably know the following and leadership and opinion leadership on online social media and stuff like that, right? You are following some speakers, some successful people because you want to be like them, right? Similar is something what you can create for yourself in a specific area which other people don't understand yet, or which you are better than everyone else. And so I built something when I was at school, like, hey, let's do a framework. I was super into consulting. And so McKinsey did one, I do one too. And so on the top, you have like, I started off with personal assessment, went into my goal settings, and then went into project planning. And then the later ones, on the bottom, like mentorship, networking effect, and hypothesis testing, is more something which you do outside of the room. That means like after you have done all the research and stuff like that, you go out and meet people. So first I started off with a SWOT analysis. Very geeky of me to do that with the company kind of framework, but I wanted to know like what are my strengths and what my weaknesses, and where do I see opportunities and threats coming up, right? And so after knowing what my strengths and weaknesses are, I can pretty much balance it out. So I was very systematic. I'm a typical engineer. Very systematic in terms of mapping out my weaknesses and strengths. But there's one important thing I really learned is, over high school and like in college, you get taught that you have to be good at everything because you have to have high GPA. And the GPA is an average of multiple grades. But, who is good at everything? Isn't it hard, right? So my mom would teach me to be good in English. I didn't speak English well. And I'm more the math guy and physics guy. And then so I would spend tons and tons of time into doing English. But then my math skills will drop. And then suddenly if you spend a lot of time into your weaknesses and your strengths will drop, that means at the end of the day, you will all just average out. And so now going forward, what I learned is, if you are going into your career, focus on your strength and focus only on your strength to create a niche market where you can dominate, whatever application you are going for. And so I started focusing on public speaking, fundraising, meeting people, networking, stuff like that, because that's something I wanted to be really good at. Then I was working during my Capstone project on a forecasting model for SanDisk. And that's how I got the job at the end of the day. But I think what I really learned from this forecasting model is forecasting is something where you throw dots in the air, or you just hold your finger up and you hope that you know where it's going, but you don't. And most of you probably don't know, or who knows what they want to do? Oh wow, nobody? Okay, there you go. So we have 2 people who know what they want to do. That's perfect, okay? That's great. So I didn't know what I want to do. My mom started drilling me when I was like 6 years old. What do you want to do? I was like, Mom, I don't know, I'm freaking 6 years old. And then so my mom said, I knew that I wanted to become a doctor when I was 6. And I became a doctor. So that's like the promise of being successful. And said, no, Mom, it's about finding what you want to do, but making bets and committing yourself to something where you think you want to be. And so even sorry, I'm not taking your goals, but maybe whatever happens to your goal you want to become will change over time. But right now you're committed to, what is it, by the way?
I want to start a robotics company.
Perfect, robotics company. That's awesome, right? And so that's what I want you guys to focus on, because a lot of people focus on the now, focus on the past. I want you guys to focus on projecting yourself forward and sticking your head out and be wrong. What I mean by that is a lot of people are afraid of public failure, right? How does it feel to fail in public? It's terrible, so you can't be wrong. But what I want to do with you is encourage you to really project, like, for example, I want to become a doctor, and let's just try it out. If you fail, what do you have to lose, right? And then, so you probably guys remember about the Steve Jobs, the commencement speech at Stanford. Who knows that? Great. Okay, so he was talking about, in his career, looking back, he sees all the dots connecting and everything led to Apple, and that's how he became successful. And I think it's great that you're looking back, you can see dots connecting, I still do. But looking forward is a little bit more important, because looking forward is not what we do these days anymore, because we are too afraid to fail. And so looking back, let's give it to the Stanford guys so that they can connect the dots. And we focus on changing the future and focus to the forward. Okay, so what I did as well, and that's probably my upbringing. So I was born in China, raised in Germany. I'm very structured, and so I started doing a project plan for my entire semester and trying to figure out what I can do and be like really stringent on every single task I put myself in there. It's not that important, but it helps you track. And so I talk to a lot of people who are very successful these days, and I ask them, like, what's your secret? And I still ask the same question. And they tell me, like, I've been able to reassess my goals, reassess my life every 3 months, every 6 months, every year for the last 20 years. And I'm like, that's sick. That's so much discipline right there. Like, who of you can drink milk twice in the morning, like, or in 2 mornings in a row? Like, who of you have so much discipline that you can make something so persistent that you will have it for the next 20 years? And that's something which makes people really stand out. And so I feel like if you are able to plan out your future, even though it's not, it's not the most perfect plan, you might be able to achieve something which you never thought of, because you are driving towards something which you have mapped out, or you have something in your head. And so in reality, what I realize is you have, everything in this world happens twice. Once in your head and once in reality. When I first started my company and built the product, I had it only in my head, and I was telling everybody about it. And I had like 10 people working for me, and they're like, what are we building? I'm like, I have it here in my head, I want to build it. Let's do it. And bringing it out requires so much clarity of what you want to have in your head and what you want to achieve in your life. And clarity doesn't come with, oh, I want to have it now. Clarity comes with testing, trial, and seeing what you're actually passionate about. And so going back to the hypothesis testing, after you have done all the preparations, you go out. You start meeting people. You start testing what you have came up with. Because without feedback, where are you going to go, right? When I started off at Sandus, I was working there for 3 years as a program manager. And it was a great job. Out of school, awesome, super excited to move up the ranks, be a leader, whatever. And everyone would tell you, you're a rock star. Did it help me? No, it didn't. Because positive feedback doesn't really help me improve, doesn't really help me refine, and doesn't really help me go through that cycle. Because if everybody tells you you're a rock star, you will not question yourself. And so you have to go out there, meet people, like for example at networking events, talk to them, pitch them, come up with something where you're passionate about. If it doesn't work, change it, do something else. I mean, I went to career fairs with, I was dressed in a black suit, and it was like, startup career fair, biggest mistake ever, so don't do that. Like, you go in a t-shirt, okay? You talk to those guys, they're like, why is he dressed in a suit? And then so I realized that because they gave me that feedback, like, hey, nobody wears suits, do you see anyone? And then so I run home, changed into a t-shirt, came back and pitched again. And suddenly I got the job. So it's very, very different. It's all about like how fast can you bounce back up. It's not about how often do you fail. It's about how fast can you recover and make it better. And then networking effect. I'm not a big fan of networking, to be honest, because you meet a lot of people who are like, you meet them for 5 minutes. You don't really know. You have always your same spiel, like, what do you do? What's your name? What do you study? I think what's more important is if you network based on values and network based on real friendship or relationships you are trying to build. That means like if you find someone who you are very passionate and click with, and you spend time with that person, really understanding that person, and spending a lot of time really helping that person, it will create a very different network than if you come and say like, hey, my name is so-and-so, I do that, and hey, we should be friends. Can we add each other on Facebook now? Right? So that's one thing. But the network effect really explodes when you know those people. That means like in the network you have different people. You have a connector. I call them like social butterflies. And you probably have them in your class as well, right? Those guys who talk to everybody. Then you have people who are more shy and more introverted. And then those are more sitting on information. Probably they are very deep. They have deep knowledge about something they have done research about. And then you have people who are more like, who are friendly, but also don't really know like how to network. And so if you understand the structure of how social dynamics work, then you will understand how to leverage your network to expand it. And so I came here 5 years ago to the United States, and I had to build my network from 0 up. And it's hard, because you don't know anybody when you come here. And then, of course, mentorship, we talked about that. Don't be afraid to reach out to mentors. Don't be afraid to ask someone to be a mentor. It's not like asking to be your girlfriend, Just don't be afraid to fail and ask like, hey, do you want to grab a coffee? Can I pick your brain on something? Most of the people here in the Silicon Valley, that's how they actually became successful, because they pick brains and they just go out and talk to people and start building their network. At the beginning, I didn't believe in mentorship because I just didn't, I didn't learn much from it. But I realized over time that mentorship is not about him telling me what to do. It's more about me coming up with the right questions, me knowing what I want to get out of the mentor, me understanding what the mentor is good at. And that's something you guys have to figure out when you guys meet the right person you want to talk to. And then at the end of the day, it's all about reaching out and staying in contact. Okay, so that's about the last section about social media and profiles. Who of you uses LinkedIn to network or to job search? Everybody, awesome. Who of you use Twitter to do, job searching and connections? Dang. Okay, Snapchat? Snapchat? No, okay, all right. Who of you uses Facebook to do networking and career development or job search or something like that, or connecting? You guys are rock stars. I'm gonna talk to you guys later. Those guys found a niche which I found 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Because Facebook is so public, to be honest with you, the recruiter is going to find out about your drunk pictures anyway. They have tools. I've seen them. Okay, so whatever you put on Facebook, it's going to be seen anyway. So why don't you leverage this at something bigger? So what I started doing is I converted my Facebook into a LinkedIn. Okay, so my LinkedIn is still good, but I converted my Facebook into a LinkedIn because I could show, because on Facebook you have that newsfeed and you can give updates about your life and stuff like that. And so I could show the people who maybe like rejected me for a job, or the people who, investors rejected us because they didn't believe in our vision, that we are continuously making progress. And who of you likes to bet on something which you don't know, like anybody? Like the person you met for 5 minutes, would you bet on him? Probably not. But if you see that person for the next 2 years growing and expanding and improving and creating a great, huge business, would you give him your money? Would you bet him? And that's exactly the question I ask myself. And there's no better way than with Facebook to do that, because on LinkedIn it's so crowded and so spammed that nobody has the visibility anymore. So all that we do now is like, I keep my investors, I keep my customers, I keep my, the people who rejected me in the past on my LinkedIn, and they see how much progress I have made over years. And because they have seen so much progress, they reach out now to me and say like, hey, can I go and invest in you? Or can I help you to get there? Can I help you with a connection? Because now they start to believe in you. Because at the beginning, all you have is yourself believing in yourself, because there's nobody else. That's the same with when you open a Twitter account, there's no other follower than yourself. And then you build that following over the next couple years because you continuously make progress on what you are passionate about. And then people start following you because they start believing in you. It's a hard lesson which I learned, because I thought, by some bots who follow me on Twitter, yeah, I'm really good at it. But at the end of the day, it's about real people who trust in your skills and where you're going to go. So last thing about this, storytelling. I think, tell a story about progression. Show them a trajectory. Show them on LinkedIn even like a story where you are more personal. Because the thing is like, if the recruiter goes from LinkedIn profile to LinkedIn profile to LinkedIn profile, where they read all the same stuff, they will just forget your profile. But you're able to tell a story in your profile which catches their attention, they will hit you up and you will get a job. Okay, so to summarize everything, and first find your strength, work on your strength, and take action, execute, and do something about it. Because if there's no action, there's no reaction either. Then challenge all the limitations you have, because I'm sure you think like Facebook is impossible, but those two, they knew, right? They did a good job. So you guys can, add me on Facebook, Then spot the opportunities. In the market, there are so many opportunities and open space. And, the thing is, when I was still in school, I was still looking into the box instead of outside the box, even though we were talking that we are looking outside of the box. But you have to look outside of the box to understand like what makes your stuff different, or what makes your product different, or what makes you different. And then find mentors, reach out to them, and read some of the books I have recommended here. So I compiled a couple of books which helps you at this stage, and now you can take notes. But those books help me really to, from the first one where you write a good resume, find your strength, build your own brand. Never Eat Alone is one which helps you to network and understand the social dynamics. It's not for everyone, because he calls up people when he is in a cab. I'm not a person for that. And then The Black Swan is very important. That's something which you guys probably read for your statistics class too. But it's something about how do you create the next big thing. Thanks. I stayed within time.
So we are running over, so we don't have a lot of time for questions, but Han will be here throughout lunch. So, and I'll be at lunch, or the whole career development team will be at lunch. If you have any questions, please come find us, and we'd be happy to talk to you. Beth is going to explain the next couple parts.
I also want to say that I am friends with Han on Facebook, and he's totally right. Like, I feel like every month, Lucid VR is getting an award or some press, and I must say I noticed. So, all right, I'm going to pull up the schedule for you guys. So just some housekeeping before we let you go. So, we are feeding you lunch, of course. So when you come back from the photo, pick up a lunch. The cartons are compostable, so please put them in the marked green bins when you're done with your lunch. We want to compost those lunch containers. And also for lunch, I encourage you to go up to the terrace. There's a lot of seating outside up on the Bechtel terrace right above us here. Also, at lunch, be sure to pick up a t-shirt and a Fung Institute bag, as well as check in for the team building event. I'm pointing to this corner. They'll give you a bandana, and they'll also make sure you've signed your waiver. And now, I'd like to introduce Ashley Villanueva and Joy on again. Ashley is our marketing and recruitment specialist, and she's going to lead you to your class photo at the Hearst Mining Steps, and then Joy will make sure the stragglers also go to the Hearst Mining for the photo. So take a quick photo, something you'll treasure forever, and then come back for lunch. So please follow Ashley.